Okay, so this is how we're going to put the points back in the VAR engine. Now, you've got your new points, and remember they come with packing grease. So you've had a bit of WD-40, and you scrub the points in between with some paper, and then a dry piece, and it'll clean all the rubbish off. This is actually an old set of points I'm using. You should have a mirror finish. Right, now this piece of paper you can jam in under the screw so that when you take off the nut it keeps it available to do. This is a real fiddle otherwise. So you put it on the tag, and you've got to get the washer and then the nut on, which is a real fiddle here. It's not easier in the boat. You may want to make sure you've got some spectacles on for magnifying, and maybe a torch and a towel underneath to make sure anything you drop doesn't go in the engine. So I'm just getting this on half a turn. There's a real fiddle. Once you've got this nut on, you've got to tighten it a bit, of course. There we are. It's a bit difficult with the camera here. So I'm getting this nut on. There we are. Right. That's done up. I've got a 4BA spanner here, which is just a job, or you can use long nose pliers. Need to do that nut up. You just want to make sure it doesn't shake off. There is a shake-proof washer underneath, and don't tighten it out completely at this point because you want to make sure that the wires will be in the right position. Remove a bit of cardboard. Right, now these will fit in to the hole, and then you want to retain it with your screw. So as I said, don't use a chewed up screwdriver, use one with a nice tip. You don't want to use nylon lock nut on this. Just get this in, put it in loose. Now here's an important thing. When you put the flywheel on, this heel can catch on the flywheel and break off unless you set the points so that they are as far out as possible. Just loosely tighten them up. You can adjust them later on. Make sure that the wiring is okay, and now you can tighten your nut up properly. So now is the time to tighten this because we know that the wiring is in the right position. Okay, that's fine. Now, next job is put the flywheel on. We've got a good clean surface here. I've checked this before, inside and out. This is absolutely beautiful. So we've got no corrosion or roughness in here. You don't want any grease because grease will sit on there. Just nice and clean. If it's got dirt on there, clean it off. Line it up, wiggle it on, make sure that woodruff key is lined up. Come on. This should be right. There we go. Right. Now that's on at the moment. There's no rocking motion, and then you tighten the nut up. Now, how do you tighten the nut up without holding the flywheel? Because of course, if we tighten this up, the flywheel's just going to turn, isn't it? Once we get to a certain torque. You may be tempted to jam something in here. The only thing that I found works is a spanner between the Dynastart webs or your boats. You can jam a 13mm spanner in there somewhere on your boat. But I've got a much better way for you. To use the ring spanner and a hammer, and I'll pan out in a moment so you can see this better. Okay. And we're just going to knock this round. Hold this on, and it says in the book about 40 foot-pounds, but what I say is you want to make sure this is right. So that's about right. Now what I've got to do, if that's resting on some crumbs, it may get loose later. So just to make sure it can't vibrate loose, I've got a tube spanner and a lump hammer. I'm just going to go over here, give it one whack. Like so. Right, that was two. Now if that loosened, I'm going to need more torque than I did before to turn this round. So what we need to do is to hold our finger on here so we can feel it going round. And that's not got looser. Okay, last thing, the point of this nut has to point to the centre of that hole so that these cover screws will line up when they go through. It needs a little bit more in this case. So here we go. Keep checking. It needs a little bit more. You never give less. Right, that's good. So we tighten until the next hole lines up, and then just to double check, you'll see the bolt holes are clear. They will go in. So we've got that right. And of course you know the technique with this. Use the Allen key, and you can tap them, put them in and tighten them up. But before we do that, we're going to have to set the points up, and I'll show you that in the next instalment.